everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about Iron Flame. I know, it came out last November and I didn't read it right away. Partly because I didn't know when the third one was going to come out, so I wanted to push it off as far as I could, which of course, the day I finish it, I finished this yesterday or whatever. The day I finish it, it's announced when the third one comes out. So right now, the third one is scheduled to release on January 21st, 2025. And yes, I've already pre-ordered it. I don't know if I can wait that long, you guys. I literally need to know what happens. So, I'm gonna give you my full thoughts on this book. I don't know if I have theories yet, to be quite fair. So that might be another video of where we talk about possible theories. But I don't know. And all I know is the last 100 pages stressed me out, gave me a bad feeling, and my bad feeling came true, and I'm gonna have to talk about it. And so if you're here to listen to a non-spoiler review, I'm really sorry, but that's not this. I'm gonna go full spoilers. I have to talk about it. So let's get into my spoiler review of Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. So, first off, was this better than the first one? In my opinion, yes. That's my opinion. I know there's going to be some people that are like, no, it's not better than the first one. But to me, it definitely was. There wasn't that angst for the romance, the forbidden romance that was in the first one. But in what I thought in the first book, that's what was needed. You know, the romance between Xaden and Violet was kind of forbidden. I mean, she is the general of the war college, and she also killed Xaden's father, and so Xaden hates her, and wants to kill Violet, but then, you know, they end up together. And in this book, I really liked it because their relationship progressed. I know at the beginning of the book, it was really like they're fighting all the time. Violet doesn't trust Xaden. Xaden's trying to give her what she needs, but he's so used to having secrets that it's really hard for him. But you can see their back and forth. And I know there's been some reviewers that are like, oh, I can't stand their fighting. It's uncalled for. That's all this book is about. Well, really, like, it's only in the first half, maybe, but from my opinion, reading it, it was really like it was necessary, because Violet's character, she needs details, she needs information. She has a scribe's mind, so she needs all of the details. Keeping secrets from her is not what she needs. She needs full disclosure. Xaden, on the other hand, that's all he knows is to keep secrets. But he wants to give Violet what she needs, so he's trying. Then his way, it's, hey, ask me questions. I'm not going to lie to you. But then Violet's like, but what kind of questions do you want me to ask? Like, I don't know what kind of questions to ask. So there's that little back and forth a lot. And you don't see that gets resolved until later on, like later on in the book. Um, and that's when a lot of things start happening. But like, I loved this book. I loved the beginning of the second year. Varish, by the way, I'm so glad he died. he was not a nice character, and so glad he died. I loved the part where so Violet was being tortured by Varish, and then it was getting closer and closer, like the end part of the torture, and Dane came in and he saw Violet's thoughts. And then Dane made the decision to save Violet, and he told, I think it was Nora was her name, that if you move, I promise that you won't die, that I won't kill you. But then Xaden comes behind her with his dagger or sword or whatever he had in his hand, and he goes, I make no such promises or something, and then slits her throat, and I'm like, whoa, okay, love it, first off. And then they go to, I'm gonna pronounce this wrong. Erita? I think. Don't quote me on that. I mean, it's a fantasy book. Fantasy names are hard. So Erita, which is Xaden's home. So then they take people with them, half of the war college, half of the professors, and then they're training. They bring the flyers over from Corden, and so they begin to work together. And I really liked that part, getting to see more of the flyers and understand them. And as the book keeps progressing, you're learning a little bit more about the Venin, a little bit. And it's not really in the story, but it's in those beginning excerpts that you're learning about the Venin. So like that, to me, I love the beginning parts because it gives you little tidbits that help you kind of understand certain talking points in this book. And I think Rebecca Yarros does a really good job with that. So let's get closer to the end. Okay, so they're trying to figure out the ward stone. And Violet failed the first time. Thought it was the blood of humans. Second time, she figures out that it's actually dragon fire that activates the ward stone. Well, in Erita, their ward stone, it only partially works because the flyers still can manipulate their abilities. So Violet's like, well, what is missing? So then, closer to the end, they meet Melgren, who is the commanding general of the Navarian army. And Violet's mother comes. Well, Violet's mother asks for Mira and Violet to be at this meeting. So they come, and she just mainly wants to see them. But at the same time, she has a minute alone with her daughters, and she hands Violet Lyra's book, who is one of the 6, because Violet had Warwick's journal, and that's how she was trying to figure out how to activate the ward stone in Erita. But it didn't work. So then it just so happens that Violet's mother gives her Lyra's journal, but it's in a language that Violet can't I want to say translate. I'm an idiot. So a scribe that is her friend that came with her can translate that language because she knows it. So she's working on all of that or whatever. Well, then they don't figure out the difference until literally in war with the Venom. And oh my gosh, okay, so now we're going to talk about that part. So these are literally within 100 pages of the end, okay? Major war, major fight scenes. Starts out, and I don't know how I didn't pick this up, but Jack Barlow is Venom. Like, you can see, there was a little tidbit that Violet had a memory of when they were on the mat, and Jack's eyes they were bloodshot. Well, Venom at the first stage, their eyes are ringed red. But Violet at the time didn't know Venom truly existed. She thought it was just a fable from that book of her dad's. So she didn't think of it when they were on the mat and Jack was super close to her. And come to find that, like, he decided to turn after threshing, after the most powerful dragon other than Melgren's chose Violet. Not only did Violet get chosen by Terran, but she also got chosen by Andarna. So 2 dragons. So Jack was jealous. And then he turned right after threshing. How, like, after we learned Venom was real, like, us as readers, I don't know if any of you caught it, like, right after they figured out Venom was real, but my mouth dropped when Jack, like, we found out that he was Venom. And then he killed his dragon and broke the ward stone, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, the climax is real. So then, you know, shit hits the fan after that. You know, poor Sawyer loses a leg. I really hope they give him like a prosthetic or something so he can at least still ride his dragon. Because I don't know what he's gonna become. And I literally cried when Violet's mother sacrificed herself. And I have to read you this because I just thought it was the best thing. And it's the excerpt at the beginning of the chapter of the last chapter. And oh my God, I swear. It says, oh no, I lied. Not that one. Chapter 65. Which chapter 65 also destroyed me. And we'll talk about that. But the excerpt is, most generals dream of dying in service to their kingdom. But you know me better than that, my love. When I fall, it will be for one reason only, to protect our children. Recovered unsent correspondence of General Lilith Sorengale. So she did what she told her late husband she was going to do. She died protecting her children. And that's what a mother does. And I know a lot of people didn't like her. And, you know, I thought she was a little brutal. But seeing her death and understanding what she did. And then, like, also when Xaden came to rescue Violet, she was there and told Violet that she had a deal with Xaden to keep her alive. And she pushed her into the Rider's Quadrant to keep her alive. Because she would have risen in the scribe ranks and found out the truth. And then because Violet's mother knows Violet, and Violet wouldn't have been able to keep quiet and not help protect the citizens, Violet would have been killed. So she knew that the best way for her daughter to survive was in the Rider's Quadrant. Even with her being weak and brittle and all of that stuff, her mother knew, this will strengthen you. You will learn how to survive, and you will survive. And so that's why she pushed her daughter. So knowing what we know in this book, compared to what we knew in the first book, you understand her mother a little bit more. Now, I don't know if we're going to learn more about her mother in the next book. Kind of hope we do. Because there's some theories going around that I'm like, that's interesting. I wonder if that's true. So yeah, I bawled like a baby when she died. I'm just like, I can't. And I felt so bad for Violet and Mira and even Brennan, who kind of like disowned his mom. But he was sad too. So now, the end of chapter 65, and this is where I literally yelled out loud, no, several times. Like, I sounded like Michael on The Office.
Oh my... No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
And when Xaden lifts his head and opens his eyes to Violet and says, I can't, I'm reliving this and I'm stressed. I don't like it. I'm going to read you the end. Slowly, he drags his gaze up my body, and it feels like it takes years for him to just look at me. When he finally does, I gasp, my hand tightening on his in reflex. No, that single word is all I can think, feel, scream internally as I stare up at the man I'm hopelessly in love with. Me, he whispers, a faint, almost indistinguishable red ring emanating from his gold-flecked onyx irises. You should be scared of me. I'm telling you, I literally died. Like, that was the worst possible outcome for the ending of this book. I didn't think one bit Rebecca Yarros was going to go in that direction. Not one stinking bit until about 100 pages left. And I had a feeling, I was like, she's going to destroy me. I just know it. And guys, that's what she did. Like, I don't know how I'm going to survive. So now you've got Xaden as a Venom. And you know, in his chapter, the last chapter, he wakes up from the nightmare, which turned out to be true. And there's theories about that going around too with Violet and him, but you know, we'll save those theories for another video. But he wakes up from his nightmare and then he goes to the dungeon to visit Jack Barlow, who they gave a serum to, so it stops his power. And Xaden goes, "What's the cure? You tell me what the cure is." And Jack goes, "There is no cure. All you're going to want is more and more power. You're going to hunger for it until you finally give in." He says, "There is no cure, only control." So now we have Xaden, who he always has to maintain control. Because he's that type of a morally gray character that he would do anything to save his home and the marked ones. Well, now he's in love with Violet. And in love with Violet. And you know that with Violet, he loses control. So to save Violet, because he thought Violet was dying, he turned. And now it's like, okay, so what's going to happen in the third book? Is Violet going to try to figure out a cure for venonism, is what I'm going to call it, becoming a venom? Because Xaden's going to have to make sure he doesn't continue to take and take and take. And with him being in the wards, it helps. But he's still bonded to Sagal, his dragon. Which, obviously, Sagal knows what he did. Is she happy about it? I don't know. But I think she's still protecting him. But we know that his signets is what I'm going to say, which we got to talk about that too. Signets they're more powerful now because he took from the ground, from the magic that was in the ground. And it's just, he's going to have to be so careful. And it makes me intrigued about what's going to happen with the relationship between Violet and Xaden. Is Xaden going to try to push her away? But then I saw a tweet or something from Rebecca Yarros that said Xaden and Violet stay together through the series. So they don't break up. But it's like, okay, what's going to happen now? And guys, I don't think I can wait until January. The unfortunate thing is I have to. So let's talk about Xaden's second signet first. Like, oh my God. I didn't even see this coming, okay? I don't know why I did it. Because it was brought up in the first book. And then little tidbits were thrown here and there. And so, because Sagal bonded Xaden's grandfather, but it was written down as like an uncle or something, great uncle, I don't know, something to that, Sagal was able to bond with Xaden. So Xaden has two signets. He's got power over shadows, and he can read people's intentions. And so, like, through that little scene that we talk about it, that's why Xaden didn't kill Violet under the tree. Because he saw her intention of not turning them in. And so that's how they've been able to get weapons out of Bazgath, is he can read the people's intention. But nobody knows he has a second signet other than Violet. Because if they knew with the type of signet the second signet he has, he would be executed. Because that type of a signet is not allowed. It's dangerous. So I'm intrigued to know more about that and how that's gonna work, especially since now he's Venom. I am so pissed about that. I'm so mad. So the last thing I want to talk about is Andarna. Comment down below on any of you guys who knew or had a feeling that Andarna was special. So I didn't catch on to it at all. And usually I'm pretty good of catching on to certain things. I had no idea. Now, but I think Rebecca Yarros did a really good job about that. Okay? So until we found out that Andarna was of a 7th breed of dragon, and she is the head of her den because she's the only one that hatched. She was saved back for certain things like this, and she decided not to hatch until Violet's 18th year, knowing or hoping that Violet would go into the Rider's Quadrant so Andarna could bond her. Because in Andarna's words, she is different from the dragon, from dragon kind. And Violet is different from the Riders. She is a rider, but she has a scribe's mind. So I was like, wow. After finding that out, oh my gosh, that's super exciting. And I love how she can blend into things because her scales change colors. That's so neat. Never once did I think that she was a different breed of dragon. Not once. Just because, like, Rebecca Yarros, she made it seem like she's still an adolescent. And so Taryn and Sagal and everybody, even the elders, from what Taryn has said, that we get from Taryn, or Taran, is that she's an adolescent. She is still growing into her colors. Apparently the elders knew. And that's why the elders let her bond when she was a Feathertail, which is not allowed in most situations. So, since Violet is bonded to 2 dragons, and she doesn't have the power of freezing time anymore, since Andarna is now an adolescent, what is Violet's second signet? Because she's gonna have to have one. She's bonded to dragons. Now, I will bring up this theory because it goes with Violet's possible second signet. The nightmares that were in this book. I read something last night about it. So, the theory is Violet has premonitions, but it's in dream form. Now, we don't know if she has to be next to somebody, close to that person. We don't know. But the first nightmare she had was hers. If you read them again, the nightmares that she has later, she's watching. But not like, but she's in the spot of Xaden. So she's seeing Xaden's nightmares as Xaden through Xaden's eyes. So she thinks it's hers. So that's where this theory is coming up of she has premonitions of people. So the nightmare, the first nightmare that she had, it still could come true. But the other nightmares that were brought up in this book, it did come true because Xaden turned Venom. And the sage told Xaden, or Violet, aka Xaden, in the nightmare, that he would turn for love. And he did. So that's just a theory. We won't find out until the third book, hopefully. If not the fourth one. I mean, I hope. Rebecca Yaros, if you watch this, which I know you probably won't, but if you do, please have a way to turn Xaden back. Like, I don't know what I would do if he just continues to, like, digress into this villainy, venom thing. Like, I just want Violet and him to have a happy ending. I do, and I know there's supposed to be, I think, 5 books maybe in this series. So I know we've got a little bit, but I digress. So that was my spoiler-filled review. Really just talking about the book because I absolutely loved it. I can't get over it right now. But let me know down below what you thought of the book, what some of your favorite parts were, what shocked you, and whatever else you want to talk about the book. I would absolutely love to know and comment with you. So don't forget, like and subscribe and be good people.
When you feel it's hopeless, when you think that you've lost